Thank you for joining me for this reading. So in this reading, I wanted to answer the question, whose mind are you still living in and why can't they shake you? Now, I want to give a disclaimer that when it comes to these types of readings, I'm not trying to feed any type of codependency. Like if you have moved away from certain people, I highly believe in leaving them in the past completely and not watching any readings about them whatsoever. So if you do feel like, you're trying to move on from someone and watching a reading of this type could maybe re-spark thoughts about them and make you feel like you want to go backwards, please skip this reading. Please. I don't want to feed any type of codependency, because I just know how hard it is to break free from certain people that we're attached to. And the last thing you need is to listen to a reading and then start thinking, is it talking about this person? Maybe that person's thinking about me. And then you're trapped back in a cycle. Like, I just don't want that for anybody. Once we, are able to break free from people who aren't good for us, I just really want us to be able to move forward completely and not look back. So, I feel called to do this particular reading, but if you have someone that you still have like an attachment to that you're trying to break free from, and this might reactivate it, just skip over this one. So, let's go ahead and dive into this. So whose mind are you still living in and why can't they shake you? So the card that I pulled for this is the Magician card. So what I'm getting is that whoever this person is that's showing up, obviously this is someone from your past. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It could be a friend. It could be someone who you met one time, someone who you dated briefly. It could be a classmate that you had. It could be anyone. The intention with this reading is to really just show how much of an impact that you actually make on people. Because for some of you, you really think that, once you're gone out of someone's life, that you're forgotten or that your impact wasn't that great. And that's just not the truth. So that's the point of this reading. But yeah, what I'm seeing is that with this Magician card, this is someone who, this is going to sound very strange, but this is someone who comes into your life and they almost feel like you tricked them. They expected you to be one way and then you ended up being a different way. And it wasn't because you were trying to deceive them. I just feel like this could be a person who just had an image of you or like a fantasy of you or something along those lines in their mind, and it's like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this, because I'm sensing that this could happen to you often, or this has happened to you more than once, where somebody has like put you on a pedestal or idealized you or had a fantasy of you, like about who you are in their minds, and expected you to fit into that mold. But you're the type of person that just can't fit into a box. Like, people cannot box you in. You're just too multifaceted for that. Like, when people think that they figured you out, it's like, boom, no, they haven't. You know what I mean? Like, they find out something else about you that they would have never guessed. You could have like very strong Aquarius energy in your chart, because that is very Aquarius, for people to think that you're going to be one way and then you're another way. Also Gemini too, which makes sense because the Magician card is, ruled by Mercury, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. But yeah, I just feel like you're just a very multifaceted person and you can't be put into a box, and people just don't know what to do with you. They don't know where to place you, so if they try to project a fantasy onto you, or they try to like idealize you and put you in a box, and expect you to fit in that box, like, they're sadly mistaken. Like, it's not happening. So that's kind of what I'm seeing by, like, it's almost like they feel like they got tricked, but they didn't get tricked. They just need to learn to not box people in that way. Like, for example, this could be someone who maybe they watched you from afar for a very long time, and they're like, oh man, I really want to be close to this person, because in their mind they created who they think you are based off of like watching you on social media or something like that. And then when they finally do get a chance to be in your presence, it's like they expect you to be the exact like snapshot of who they projected you to be. And when you don't fit into it, they're like, oh no, I'm feeling deceived. Like, no, you haven't been deceived. You just, they just don't understand how someone can be so authentic the way that you are, because I feel like your authenticity comes from you being able to be like a contradiction, and like being able to hold contradictory energy in a way that most people can't. So it's like you could just have multiple sides to you, and you embrace all of them in a way that other people don't. Like other people, I feel like they try to take one part of themselves and they try to like kind of mold that into being like the full reality of who they are. Like people like to put themselves into categories. They like to put themselves into boxes, and they like to stay there. It makes them feel safe. It makes it feel like really nicely packaged and neat. That's why you see like, people on social media, they're always trying to find their aesthetic. And there's nothing wrong with like finding your personal style or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm also talking about people who, they're having somewhat of an identity crisis, which again, I'm not saying that with judgment at all. But they're having somewhat of an identity crisis. So they try to take like one aesthetic they see on social media and fit themselves fully into that. And, you're the type of person that just can't do that, because you just fit into so many different boxes. It's like you just can't be contained. Like definitely getting like a free spirit energy from you. So for example, you could be someone who's really, really like book smart and intelligent. You like to learn, you like to read and things like that. And that's not the entirety of who you are though. Like you also maybe like to go out and party. You like to, you know what I mean? It's like there's things about you that people would be like, I would have never guessed this about you. Like you're very multifaceted. So I think that you might have come into this person's life, one, to teach them, once again, to never put people in boxes in that way, and to never project fantasy onto people, because that is dehumanizing. You know what I mean? When you project a fantasy onto someone, you don't give them space to actually be a human. So that, they were meant to learn that through you. But also, I just think that you were meant to show them that it's okay for them to be multifaceted and authentic as well. Because they might be the type of person who the same way they put you in a box or put you on this pedestal and expected you to act accordingly, they do the same things to themselves. And it makes them dysfunctional is what I'm hearing. Like this is the type of person who would do that in a dysfunctional way. Like this is the type of person that will be like, I'm a nice guy. I'm nice. And they would adopt that as the entirety of who they are, to the point where when they're just being human, and they are, making mistakes, and maybe they hurt someone, even if it was unintentional, when that person would go and confront them about it, like, hey, you hurt my feelings, because they put themselves in this box of like, no, I'm a good person, I'm a good guy, they would not be able to take accountability for hurting the other person. And they would then turn to like toxic defense mechanisms like deflecting and gaslighting and things like that, because they can't accept that they are a multifaceted human who does have the ability to hurt someone. And I think that also that's something about you as well that most people don't possess, is that you have the ability to really self-reflect and take accountability. You have the ability to say, oh, like I hurt this person, and I feel bad about it. And you'll go and try to, make amends. But it's like you're able to face that because you're able to face the fact that you're human. You know what I mean? And it's like you're able to face the fact that, yeah, you can still be a good person and also hurt people. Like that's a thing that happens as humans. And whoever this person is, or maybe these people are that, you're still in their minds, they don't have the ability to do that, because they're just like, wow, like they look at you in kind of like awe of how you're able to do that, because they don't have the ability to do that. They don't. They put themselves into one box as like a form of protection, and deflect and gaslight anything and everything that goes against that. And they don't allow themselves to be human, so they don't allow you to be human either. But yeah, they might have felt tricked, but you didn't trick them. If anything, they're kind of living in a delusional reality, and you were meant to kind of hold the mirror up to that delusional reality that they're living in. There's a theme, an ongoing theme that I notice in my readings of you being a mirror, like a divine mirror to people, and them not liking it. But, you are meant to kind of help them to level up, because this way of doing things is very dysfunctional and toxic. Like, their life is very toxic because of their way of being. Like, the way that they put people up on this pedestal, project a fantasy onto them, and then snatch the person off the pedestal because they don't live up to that fantasy. It's toxic. It's going to make it so that they never have a healthy long-term relationship ever. They're going to just constantly be chasing fantasies and putting people on pedestals and knocking them down, and putting them on pedestals and knocking them down. But then not even just that, they have a toxic relationship with themselves because they've taken one part of themselves and been like, oh, this is who I am, as like some kind of defense mechanism or shield. And then anything that goes outside of that, they're going to deflect and push it away from them. Any part of themselves that comes up that contradicts this image that they want to project, they're going to push that part of them away. And again, they're not allowing themselves to be human, and it makes them dysfunctional. Like I said, they could hurt somebody's feelings by mistake, and they'll be like, no, I didn't. I'm a good person. I can't possibly do that. And then deflect and end up hurting the person worse. It's like, it's toxic. It's narcissistic, actually, if we want to put like a psychology term on it. So I think you were meant to kind of hold up the mirror to this person of them behaving this way. And I'm not sure if they actually got the message or not. Not sure if they actually took the hint or not. Because of the lack of self-awareness, you know, sometimes people just, you come into their life and they have the opportunity to see themselves as a change, but sometimes people can't see their own reflections, you know, kind of like how vampires in movies can't see their own reflection. There's some people walking around who are, you know, kind of energy vampires, and they can't see their own reflection. And it's quite sad, but there's nothing you can really do about it. You did your part, and you were meant to be like the catalyst, and there's nothing left for you to do. So, yeah, that's ultimately what I'm seeing. That's the person who, you know, you still cross their mind. And again, I do just feel like it's because you held up that mirror to them. So for some of you, if this person has the ability to self-reflect, you know, you're unforgettable to them because of the fact that you showed them this part of themselves that they would have never seen otherwise. But for those of you who this is a person who can't self-reflect, you still cross their mind because they just feel unsettled by the fact that they felt deceived by you, which is ridiculous because you didn't deceive them. Again, this is someone who's not living in reality. They'll continue to put people up on these fantasy positions and continue to feel deceived by people because people are just being human. You know, people are multifaceted. They're not a fantasy for you to hold on to and put them in a box and force them to behave the way that you fantasize them in your mind. Like, no, that's not how it works. And again, like I said, I feel like I'm not, and I want to make it clear, I'm not talking about people who sometimes have on rose-colored glasses. Like, we've all been there, right? Like, we have on rose-colored glasses. We become really infatuated with someone, and, you know, we see like the good in them, and like we have this big crush on them, and then later on they end up disappointing us. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like someone who will straight up like idealize you, love bomb you. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And when they knock you off the pedestal, they do it in a very cruel and heartless way. Like, they dehumanize you completely. That's what I'm talking about. So that's the type of person that, again, you hold up a mirror to them and they don't seem to like it. And you definitely, your energy sticks with them. But again, that's not your problem because this type of person, they wouldn't be a healthy person for you to keep in your life. So this is the type of person who you've met, and now it's someone who you would have moved on or moved away from, because you deserve to be in the presence of people who can see you in your entirety and who can love you in your entirety. And that's how healthy functioning love and healthy functioning relationships work. You know, they see the good in you, of course, but they don't put you up on this pedestal and then like viciously knock you off of it because you're human. Like, that's not how that works. That's how narcissistic relationships work, but healthy relationships, no. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. The Magician card here too, though, I do feel like, and I'm just gonna quickly add this on the end. I do feel like you are someone who could be quite good at manifestation too. So that's just like not common, a side message that came through, that like this person could also still think of you because of the fact that you were so good at manifestation, or you were so good at creating certain things for yourself or attracting certain things into your life. And I feel like that's something that they want for themselves. And so this could also be a person who thinks back like, man, like you were like an inspiration to them because of the way that you were able to draw things into your life or attract things into your life or accomplish certain things. Or the way that you were just, it kind of like felt like the universe was working with you in order to get certain things. And this person could have really been in awe of that. And that could have sparked a desire in them where they wanted that power as well. And so that's something hard for them to shake. They could still be kind of looking back on how powerful you were spiritually and wanting that for themselves. So yeah, that little side message came through. But yeah, that's all I'm seeing for you. I hope that this reading was enlightening in some way. Like I said, I felt called to do it, so I'm guessing somebody needed to see it. So yeah, I hope that the messages came through, landed. Okay, sorry, the ending of this reading got cut off, but basically what I was saying was that thank you for listening to this reading. I was already finished when it got interrupted, but yeah, thank you for listening to this reading. I hope that it landed for wherever it landed for. I sincerely hope that this doesn't like reactivate any old feelings in someone where they want to go back to someone from their past, because that's not my intention at all. Anybody from your past, you should definitely leave them there. There's nothing there for you except pain and misery to look backwards. And I always feel like as a tarot reader, it's my responsibility to make that clear and let that be known, because a lot of tarot readers can really keep you hooked and stuck on the wrong person. And there's just a host of problems that could happen with being stuck on the wrong person. It's bad for your mental health. It's bad for your physical health. It's just bad all around. And so I just never want, I always want to be the person or the reader who is helping you to progress forward and live like a very happy and blessed life. So yeah, I just, that's just my intention with these readings. I don't ever want you to look backwards after any of my readings specifically. So yeah, I love you guys. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you in my next one.